In the muscle from the shoulders
Spread
to
out,
the
gentlemen!
chest.
Hey!
Here we go.
Spread out!
Emotions run high during a bodybuilding competition, especially when it's the most important one like the Arnold Classic or Mr. Olympia. But true professionals try to keep that intensity under the surface and focus on putting out the best damn posing routine of the year. Yet sometimes there's a crack in the facade, and then the emotions get the better of a bodybuilder right there on stage. Number 5. Heath versus Greene. Bodybuilding has had a lot of great rivalries over the years. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sergio Oliva were among the first. The 1980s were headlined by Haney and Gaspari, and many fans still look back fondly on the respectable challenges between Ronnie Coleman and Cutler. Fans today still think about all of the onstage moments between Heath and Greene. They also hope that they get to see them battle on stage at least one more time. One of the most iconic bodybuilders' rage on stage was in 2014 when Greene and Heath, two of the world's best bodybuilders at that time, almost fought on stage. Even though it didn't come down to a fight, by the looks of things, it seems like they would potentially have fought each other if the judge hadn't separated them. Most of the rage clips come from smaller bodybuilding competitions, where some contestants are unhappy with their placings, and sometimes go out to fight the bodybuilding judge. For many bodybuilders, this is what they live for and do, which might be why this competition means the world to them, and when they place not as high as they expected, they get agitated. Greene has been very vocal on social media about wanting to compete against Heath again. He has posed call-outs of the 7-time Mr. Olympia on Twitter and Instagram several times over recent weeks. He also has shared images of himself in contest-level shape. Heath, on the other hand, had directly tweeted to him asking about grabbing a meal, but hasn't engaged in the call-outs to face off. Greene turned pro in 2004, and Heath followed in 2005. They had faced each other on numerous occasions over the years since. Their first encounter on a big stage was at the 2008 Arnold Classic. Heath finished second, and Greene came in third. The contest was won by Dexter Jackson. They would face off again at the 2009 Olympia. This time, Greene finished ahead of Heath, placing 4th and 5th respectively. Greene would defeat Heath again when he won the 2010 Arnold Classic. That was the last time that Greene would be higher than Heath in a contest. Putting the hype aside, what are the chances that both legends would step on stage together again? As a former Mr. Olympia, Heath has lifetime entry in any contest sanctioned by the IFBB Pro League. All he has to do is say the word, and he is in whatever lineup he picks. Greene has that same privilege with any contest except the Olympia. As a former Arnold Classic champion, Greene is eligible to enter that contest if he sees fit. He can also throw his name into the ring for other contests. So both men could compete again at the Arnold Classic if they so desired.
In the muscle from the shoulders to
Spread
the
out, gentlemen!
chest.
Hey!
Here we go.
Spread out!
Who wants to break up that fight?
And Dennis Switch!
Okay, gentlemen, relax, spread out, and hit a front lat spread.
Number 4. Heath versus Cutler. Of the current crop of Olympia hopefuls, 4-time winner Cutler and reigning 2-time champion Heath have cemented their place in bodybuilding history. As they prepare to meet again in 2013, it is those two who will, according to many insiders, fight for the top spot. Former training partners and currently on friendly terms, Heath, who also won the 2012 Olympia, pushing then 4-time champ Cutler into second place, and Cutler, who did not compete last year due to injury, are nevertheless fierce competitive rivals. Though it was Cutler, 39, who initially schooled Heath, 33, on how to win bodybuilding's biggest event, many would argue that the younger champ's firm grip on the title will not easily be relinquished. When on form, both have the size, shape, and conditioning to win the Olympia. Both also have a considerable fighting spirit, which makes their rivalry one for the ages.
And that was basically our last shot leading into the pose down to let the fans see who is better.
Guys, finish it off. Most muscular.
Is this the pose that decides the winner?
Number 3. Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Franco columbu. When the great Arnold Schwarzenegger won his 3rd Olympia title in 1972, placing 5th at this event was the 5'5", comparatively compact Franco columbu. Columbu, of whom a least likely candidate for Olympia stardom could not be found in the pro ranks, was at the time considered nothing more than Arnold's training partner, a man who would simply make up the numbers come O-time. But few banked on Columbu's tremendous resolve, and from 1974 to 1976, the Italian immigrant, knew for his phenomenal physical strength, was elevated to the top of the under 200-pound standings. back when the Olympia featured under and over 200-pound weight classes. He would go on to win the title twice in 76 and 71. However, it is for his titanic battles with his Austrian nemesis and offstage friend Arnold that Columbu will be best remembered, in particular their 1975 battle captured in the remarkable docudrama Pumping Iron, where the shorter, blockier Columbu almost toppled the massive oak for the world to see. Number 2. Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler. Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler's epic battles established their rivalry as the greatest of the past generation. When Ronnie Coleman, arguably the greatest pro bodybuilder of all time, won his first of 8 Olympia titles in 1998, pro bodybuilding's elite was served notice. Such was Coleman's otherworldly shape, size, and conditioning that no one would come close to beating him, at least while he was at the top of his game. Someone forgot to tell emerging champion Jay Cutler. Though his career did not begin auspiciously, he placed 14th and 8th at the 1999 and 2000 Olympias respectively. Cutler, once he nailed his conditioning, was near unstoppable. So much so that in 2001 he placed second at the Olympia to Coleman in an event many thought he should have won. Cutler would place second to Coleman 4 times before overcoming the champ to claim the title in 2006. The only competitor to come close to matching Coleman on quality size, Cutler proved to be Ronnie's toughest challenger. Watching the two of them come head-to-head on stage was fiery. At any moment, it seemed they were on the edge of a showdown. Number 1. Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sergio Oliva. Before Jay could overcome the monolithic challenge of Ronnie, Arnold would have to match, muscle for muscle, bodybuilding's Cuban myth, Sergio Oliva, the Coleman of his day. At the commencement of pro bodybuilding's first real rivalry, the then 2-time Olympia champion Oliva, perfectly muscled and genetically blessed with sublime symmetry and proportion, beat an underprepared first-time Olympia challenger Arnold to make it 3 for 3 in what was strictly a 2-man race. But what Arnold, then aged 22, lacked in polish and experience, he more than made up for in determination as he prepared to dethrone the myth in 1970. By beating Sergio at both the 1970 Mr. World and 2 weeks later Mr. Olympia, Arnold, better conditioned, more muscular, and exuding the confidence that would secure for him a total of 7 Olympia titles, showed he could indeed beat bodybuilding's best. Forced to miss the 1971 Olympia, Oliva could only watch on as Arnold claimed his second title. Though he returned in 72 to regain his number 1 standing, Sergio was, in one of pro bodybuilding's more controversial showdowns, bested by an ever-improving Arnold. While Arnold would go on to become the greatest, Oliva, structurally a better bodybuilder than the Oak, flitted from one organization to another, never truly capitalizing on his physical gifts. Though both competitors' legacies are secure, Arnold, who considered Sergio to be his toughest competition and the only man who could intimidate him come game day, came out on top competitively, with 3 wins to Sergio's 1 victory. Still, both men are among the best bodybuilders ever to have competed, and their rivalry remains the biggest of all time. That's all for this video, folks. See you another time.